Welcome, everyone, to a little bit of light awaiting Moshiach. So we have been discussing until now, past couple of weeks, Lashon Hara, the roots of Lashon Hara, how to deal with it. Now we're going to talk about another form of misusing our power of speech, and that is that actually the Torah's prohibition about speaking Lashon Hara actually has two parts to it. Lashon Hara is the general word we talk about for speaking badly of others. But Lashon Hara actually, in a halachic sense, means to speak bad of others. There's another type of Lashon Hara that's actually called rechilas. Rechilas means to tell someone that someone else has said or done something to them, which they take as negative. So in a more extreme case is, do you know what so-and-so said about you? Do you know what so-and-so did you? That already has the connotation of spreading something negative. But there's also a form of rechilas when you tell someone about what someone else has said or will do or has done or wants to do to you that actually may not be something that the person saying it over, telling it, means something negative, but it's at the end of the day, it becomes negative to the person who hears it. So here's an example. We'll give people names, typical Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. So Reuven says to Shimon, Levi is opening up a certain type of business. He's starting a certain type of business. Now, that business could be, let's call it, somewhat of a competition to Shimon. So again, Reuven tells Shimon, Levi's opening a business. And that business, now again, and that business that Levi's opening, let's say, could create some competition to Shimon's business. Now, when Reuven says that Levi is opening a business, anything wrong with that? No, people are not open businesses. Even if it turns into competition, people are not open businesses. When Reuven tells Shimon about it, is he trying to say anything bad about Levi? Not necessarily. He's just saying something that, here's some information. Not even, he could be saying it very innocently. But if at the end of the day, that makes Shimon feel uncomfortable, and that can create some animosity in Shimon's heart on Levi, then Reuven, who has told this information very innocently, has spoken rechilas, and has transgressed the Torah's prohibition on Lashon Hara and rechilas. Actually, the Torah's prohibition, I think I mentioned this before, is lo yselech rachel b'amecha. Do not go as a talebearer amongst your people. So that includes what we say, Lashon Hara, speaking badly about someone. He did this. Nothing about you. Didn't do anything to you, but he did this. Or she did this. Rechilas is where what he or she may have done is nothing wrong, and you didn't even mean to say it's anything wrong. But if sharing that information with somebody else because it's relevant to them is going to create animosity, that's called rechilas. That's forbidden to say over. So if we want to go to the root of that, it seems to be going to be different than the root we spoke about for Lashon Hara, because Lashon Hara, we said the root was the fact that a person has this ego trip in which he wants to feel better and higher, more superior to others, and he gains that at some level by putting somebody else down. But as we just said, when it comes to rechilas can really be something that you didn't mean to put the person down, you didn't mean to hurt the person, but the problem is it creates certain animosity, and therefore that's why it becomes a forbidden thing to say over. But there's no ego here. There's nothing about putting someone else down, especially in the case we spoke about. Maybe it's possible there could be cases like that. But what the case that we give is a very basic, essential form of rechilas, and there's no putting down anybody there. So if so, we have to understand what is the root of that, of rechilas, because as we said, if we want to do tshuva for, again, the general term Lashon Hara, for speaking badly, and how important that is for bringing back the Beis HaMikdash and Moshiach, then again, tshuva means you got to find the root of the issue and try to get to the root. So what's the root of rechilas? So for my understanding of from the talks of about the Solomon Zatzal of the Lakewood Yeshiva, the collection of his talks and his writings, which we mention very often, my understanding is like this. And that is that there is a natural trait within us to want to share the information that we have gained with an interested party. That's what we want. We want to be able to share information with others. We know something, we've gained some kind of a knowledge, and if we at least perceive someone else as interested in our information, we want to share it. And that's, again, a natural trait within us. And the natural trait starts from the fact that we want to gain knowledge, and if that knowledge interests you, then you want to share it. And this trait is actually, as Rav Solomon pointed out, is actually a trait within us in a good way, in a very good way, because this trait has been instilled in us by Hashem so that we have a drive to amass wisdom in the service of Hashem, Torah, the knowledge of Torah, the knowledge of mitzvahs, and share that with others. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be gaining wisdom, the wisdom of Hashem, and sharing with others. That's what life's about. And therefore, there's a trait within us that wants us, again, to uncover secrets, to uncover things that we don't know. That's the trait, to uncover things that we don't know, to gain information, to gain wisdom, and to share it. And that trait of doing that is meant to be used in a positive way. But every trait can be used in a positive way or a negative way. And the negative way of this trait, of where we're interested in gaining knowledge, gaining interesting information, and passing it on to an interested party, the negative of that is when you know something about someone and you've gained that information and you want to share that information with someone else. People love to tell secrets, right? Secrets are very tempting to say over. A secret means that we have gained information, interesting information, and we want to share it with the most interested party. Or we want to share with interested parties, and people like hearing secrets too. And because they also want to gain information. And if we have a piece of information, I'm calling it a secret as an example, but if we have certain interesting information in general, even general information, if it's interesting to us, we want to share it. And if we have information about someone else that is of interest, we want to share it. And we actually want to share with the most interested party. So this information that we know is about a certain person and they don't know it, and they would be the most interested person in it, then we want to share it with them. But that could be a problem, because if sharing that information with them is going to cause animosity, that's rechilas. So rechilas, the root of rechilas is that we have within us a drive to gain knowledge, gain information, and that which interests us, we want to share with someone else. That trait was put in within us to be able to gain the wisdom of Torah, the wisdom of mitzvahs, positive wisdom, to gain that positive wisdom and share it with others. But that trait can be misused. And even in all innocence, this just seems to be innocent information. But because we have that information, we've gained that information, we want to share it, that can sometimes come out being used in the wrong way. And this is really summarized in a pasuk from the book of Mishlei. And this is from Mishlei, Yud Aleph, chapter 11, pasuk Gimel, verse 13. Hoylech Rachel, the person who goes bearing tales, Megalasaid, is someone who reveals secrets. V'neman Ruach Machas Hadavar, one of trustworthy spirit, covers up, keeps things covered. The Rachel is someone that is revealing secrets. And secrets means information that you know that someone else doesn't know, and you want to reveal it. But that's a problem. That's a problem for many reasons. In the sense of rechilas, the problem is you're telling somebody something, you're creating animosity with sharing this information. But the root is you're megala soid, you're revealing secrets, things that should stay with you. Instead, you're revealing it because of this trait that we're talking about. So the root of rechilas is not a root of trying to put someone down, not even trying to create animosity, but it's the idea that you've gained knowledge and you want to share it, but you shouldn't. So in that sense, you're revealing a secret, and that's the problem. So now, if we've zeroed in on the problem, so Mirza Hashem, next episode, next week, we'll deal with how to deal with the problem. What's the way to rectify this? But to put it all together, what we have here is a human trait that we want to gain knowledge and we want to share that knowledge. It was put into us to use it in a positive way. And unfortunately, sometimes we tend to use it in a negative way. And that is where Rechilas comes from. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos.